Hey guys, welcome to Tablenauts. I'm Doolin.
And I'm Jash.
And today we are delighted to have a review copy of Block and Key from Inside Up Games, created by, I want to get your name right, David Van Drunen. And this is not a paid review at all. They simply sent us this to play and to give our thoughts on, and that's what we're gonna do. This game is a drafting block placement 3D game where you're gonna use the outside edges of the box and these little like holders that come in the game that you're gonna punch out to create the board. And it's sort of this giant block that has blocks underneath of it that you'll be drafting, as well as fulfillment cards, and then on top is where every person, based on where they're positioned around the board, will be placing their blocks in order to fulfill their personal objectives. Now all of that is hidden information, meaning that you're not going to be able to see what they're seeing from their angle or see what cards they're fulfilling. However, you are racing to see how many of those cards that you can get first. Depending on player number, you're going to be going for a certain number of those cards, and then at the end of the game we'll count up your points on your fulfilled cards, as well as how many of the hidden objective that you're going for in terms of the color of blocks that are facing you. We want to tell you a little bit of our favorite things. First, I'm gonna let Jash go. So Jash, what did you like about this game?
Okay, so one of the first things that jumps out to me is the components, that being the titular blocks and also the board.
There's
board
an
itself,
extreme lack of keys, though.
Yes, there is a lack of keys. There, block and no keys. The board is built from the box. I think you mentioned that.
Yeah.
So the box doesn't take up a lot of space because everything you're using is either the board itself or is able to fit inside of it, which is nice. And then the other thing that I like is I feel like it really utilizes the 3D space well.
Yeah.
And it does this in two different ways. One, the verticality of just the space the board takes up, because you draft underneath the playing area because it's up. But then also each player plays from their own perspective. So you're going to have a player at every side of the board, and then the blocks that you place are not just like flat, they also go up.
Yeah.
So you're trying to find your patterns either horizontally or vertically depending on how the blocks stack.
One of my favorite things too is the fact that you'll be taking your cards, which literally just have like printed 2D versions of those blocks, and you're going to be tilting them, and you'll be standing up like on your edge of your board trying to see what way works the best. And it's just really neat and unique, like a unique experience that I've not had as far as like pattern building games go before.
Right. Because the blocks stack, they had to be made a certain way. And I really like the blocks that they use. They have a very satisfying weight to their hands. And apparently they went through like 2 or 3 or maybe more, I don't know, iterations of them to get the perfect block with the components of like what they're made from and how they stack too, because that's very important because they have that verticality.
They're very satisfying to feel, but on top of that, like they clearly did a good job, because never once did they accidentally get knocked over or like, and you're reaching underneath the board, so I mean the chances of doing that are pretty high, but it never felt shaky. Like they always like stood well. Right.
And like with the board itself, it's just the box, so like it's made well to where it's not going to fall over either.
Yeah.
Like I was never worried that I was going to just ruin everything because I was stacking or messing around.
My other favorite thing about this game is that there's a bit of that race element, because the moment that somebody fulfills a certain number of objectives, the game is over. And so at that point, we all count up our points and see who wins. So there is this like push and pull of, okay, I just finished one of these medium objectives. Do I go for another medium one so I can push in-game quickly, or do I go for a hard one which might stay in my hand for the entire game because I don't have any chance of fulfilling it? It's gonna take me forever to draft enough and place enough, and by then somebody else will have ended the game. Anytime a game adds a race like to something, it's not just a certain number of turns, makes the game more tense, because if I know Emily is across from me and she has 6 of them done and we only need 7 to end the game, my whole plan for my turn probably changed, you know, based off of that. And so I love that. And then on top of that, it's not just a race, right? Like it's on top of that, you know, I know Emily's been picking up a lot of those medium cards, so and I know I have a lot of points on my side, so maybe I won't worry about her pushing in game. I'll just keep going for the hard ones. I will say though, there are a few things that I found not 100% great about this game. One of those being that I really did not like the solo mode. So it does say 1 to 4 on the box. If you're buying this because you're expecting a great pattern building solo mode, this is not the one to choose. There are others that I would put higher than that. On top of that, I think that 3 is also not the best way to play this game either, because it's best when you have somebody across the board who is not only maybe messing with some of your plans on accident because they don't really know, or on top of that, they might be helping you. I think that at 3, when 2 players have that and 1 person doesn't, it is missing something a little bit there. I don't think it's horrible at 3.
Right.
I just think that it's optimal at 2 and 4, and that's when you're gonna get the best experience of block and key.
Right. And like I will say, if you like a mean drafting game like Azul, this might not tickle your fancy. While what you are doing can affect what your other people are doing, because you don't see what colors or what patterns they're going for, there's not really going to be a lot of hate drafting or hate placing, mainly just accidental interaction.
Yeah, it's not purposeful, right?
Right.
But yeah, that leads us to who's it for though. Who do you think this game is for?
I think this game is for people who like drafty puzzly games while simultaneously not liking to be mean.
Yeah. There are some people who don't like that.
Right.
And Azul is a big turnoff for a lot of people. And I keep using Azul. Like, there's plenty of other mean games that I actually don't even like. Like, if Emily and I are wanting just a calm evening, we don't want to be yelling at each other playing a game. And so this would be perfect for those evenings where there's just 2 of you, or maybe there's a whole family of 4 of you type of thing, and you want a interesting and unique experience in terms of that pattern building experience that you can have with a lot of games. But most of those are just 2D.
Right.
So this is a 3D game, and it's gonna be satisfying. I think this is a great game to introduce to people that you're trying to get into the hobby, because it's just a unique piece to look at. Like, I'll see, if I saw this, I did actually. The reason that I actually asked for this game is I saw it at Gen Con and was like, what is this? This is cool. Like, I've never seen anything like this. And then they explained the game and I was like, oh, I gotta get this. It's unique, it's fun. And then on top of that, I will say that if you're a type of person who enjoys like Tetris and like the way that blocks fit perfectly together, right? Or you're trying to build a specific pattern and then all of a sudden, like, you just tilt that block a little, or that card a little bit to the left or right, you see, oh, I have the block I need. Like, that's just really satisfying to place and to fulfill those objectives. So that's it for our review of Block and Key. If this interested you at all, I highly recommend checking out Inside Up Games online, or going to your friendly local game store and see if they have a copy of it as well. There isn't a lot about it on BGG or anywhere else that I've seen yet, and I think that's a shame, because I do think that it is a little hidden gem to try out, and it's gonna be on my shelf for quite some time. And Inside Up Games, once again, thank you so much for sending us this copy. We appreciate you, and on top of that, I hope you guys all have a good day. Bye!
Bye!